Welcome. Let's get one check. Excellent connection. Come on, man. Boom. There's YouTube. Boom. There's Twitch. Boom. I'm going to go like that. Let's see how fast it shows up. Oh, that's pretty quick. That's like 2 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. I like that. I like it. Picasso. Okay. Welcome everybody. It's good to be here. I'm feeling positive. I got a drink. I got some water. I think we're ready to go. The first thing I'd really like to say is I'm really surprised. My video on understanding Sekiro has 300 views. I was like, what? So that's pretty cool. I like that. I also saw that Doomsday Hunters has like, I don't know, 20 or 30 views on each of them, which is that's pretty great. You'll also see I'm thinking on Tuesdays before I start my stream, I'm going to upload game showcases. So I've got Curse of the Dead Gods is running right now, and then up next I'm going to do Tanuki Sunset, Life Slide, and then probably also Warframe maybe. So who knows, you might see like some Warframe action in the near future, but near future is like several weeks away because I'm not going to be uploading this very often. I think maybe just once a week or twice a week, something like that. Okay, anyway. Let's tab over. All right, folks. So I am loaded up in Warframe. So currently, what am I doing right now? That is the question of the hour, At this point, at this late in the game, what am I actually doing in this game? And I think right now for me, the most fun I've been having is putting arcanes on all of my primary weapons, or at least most of them. So like we go to the Opticore Vandal, boom, primary Merciless. And primary Merciless is just great because it gives you free reload speed and free ammo max. So you just get more ammo and you reload faster. And it also buffs your damage every time you kill an enemy. So it's a no-brainer that you should put it on all of your weapons, or at least all the ones that you really love, because I think it really makes it easier to play that weapon. And when you have that slight increase in reload speed and you have that extra ammo, you can kind of build your fights differently, and you have more ammo to spare, and I think that really benefits you in the end to just I think I guess first of all I should say that you can only really get primary arcanes or any weapon arcanes. You can only get them from the Steel Path. And that means, going into a mission on the Steel Path, which is the hard difficulty. It's basically just hard mode. I literally just play Earth, which is the easiest level. Like, it's the lowest level enemies. So all the enemies are like level 101, like 103. I do an exterminate mission. You make sure the key is that you don't finish the mission for 4 minutes. So 4 minutes have to elapse before you get to extraction, before that green circle shows up. And then if you've met those requirements, you'll get an acolyte. An acolyte will spawn, and those acolytes will give you steel essence, and then you can spend that to get arcane. So it's a great way to test all your weapons, like test it in hard mode and see like, oh, is this a hard mode capable weapon? It's like, oh, is it? Who knows? And you get to try it out, and it's very cool, I think. So let's see. Where are we right now? I've done Soma, I've done the Shakur, I've done Igneous Wraith, I've done the Ogress, the Amprex. I didn't do the Tigress. I did what is this called? The Shedu. I did the Trumna, the Fulmin, the Excellitra, Supra Vandal, Prisma Gricata, Boar Prime, Bubonico. This is the Kuva Brahma. I did the Ferox and the Comarex and the Cernos Prime, and I also did Opticore Vandal and Lens and Czar. And then so now I'm moving into this section. I'm gonna do the Strun Wraith next. I'm gonna do the Javlock. I've already done the Kuva Tonkor. And then at this point it kind of starts to peter out. Like, this is pretty far in my usage list, so like a lot of these weapons are not really super simple. Like, I think what I've learned is like your usage list kind of tells you how easy a weapon is to use. And like, so if we go up to the top, like what's the similarity between all these weapons? Like, a lot of them have really high fire rate. A lot of them are really good at not only killing a single target, but killing enemies fast enough that you can kind of wipe out like a large group of enemies. Oh, Tyler's here. Okay. What was I saying? So like if we go up to the Soma Prime is an assault rifle. It has a 12 fire rate. So this is shooting 12 shots per second. So as you can see, crazy high fire rate. It has a 90% crit. And the big secret of why primary weapons are so great is critical chance and hunter's munitions. These two synergize so well. Essentially what hunter munitions does is every time you crit someone, you got a 30% chance to apply a slash proc based off of that crit. And so what that teaches you is, okay, so if I get a huge crit, if I get a crit for like, let's say 10,000 damage, then I'm going to get a slash proc off of that 10k damage. The slash proc will bypass armor. So it'll deal damage directly to health, and it'll deal 35% of that 10,000 every second for like 6 seconds, maybe 5 seconds. And if you have a fire rate of 12 and you're like critting an enemy 90% of the time, that means in 1 second you're probably landing, let's say 10 crits, like say 9 or 10 crits. So in 60 seconds you're landing 600 crits, give or take, okay? And then if you take 30% of that 600, that's like, let's see, that's I guess that would be like 180 slash procs in a minute. So if you're unloading a clip for a minute, you're gonna proc slash like about 180, maybe 150 times. And then each of those slash procs is going to have a insanely high damage output because you got it off of a crit. And so it's like, dude, this is where my like Asperger's brain, where I can just do that quick math on the fly, it saves me so many times, because you just do the math over and over in your head. You just do the calculations and it's just nothing. You just break it down so simple. So that's like the basic gist of, you know, where this game really comes to fruition. Like a lot of these weapons, I have hunter munitions. I would say this guy, the Kuva Shakur, is a crazy one. It has 200% crit chance. So that means that not only am I guaranteed to get a yellow crit, which is the lowest crit, I'm guaranteed to get an orange crit, which adds an additive bonus to my critical damage. So you see I have 6.4 times critical multiplier. So it'll add like 3 onto that. So instead of 6.4, it'll be 9.4. And then this 4% tells me that 4% of those shots will be red crits, and red crits give you even more of a bonus. So it's just like comical. And like the real fun of this, of playing around, is like if you're using, let's go over here. This is my go-to builds. So if you're using this special companion, this is an Adarza Kavat. Adarza Kavats are really cool because they have the cat's eye buff. And it grants 60% increased critical chance for 10 seconds to allies within 25 meters every 20 seconds. So basically, you'll have 10 seconds of crit and then 10 seconds off. And then 10 seconds on, 10 seconds off. But this is a flat additive bonus. So instead of 200% crit chance, I might even be getting like 300, like the maximum amount of crit chance that you can get. And so it's like, just like, dude, it's too much stuff to stack all in one. It's just like math on top of math on top of math. And so it's like, it really makes you feel powerful. It's a really cool factor that happens in this game. It's like, once you do all the math and you figure out all the numbers, you're basically just stacking shit on top of each other. And it's just, oh my god. Quick maths. 2 plus 2 is 4. Minus 1, that's 3. Quick maths. Everyday man's on a block. Smoke trees. That's, who is that? Big Shaq? Big Shaq. And so, like, you kind of get the gist. I was really fired up right there. But, like, you know, Igneous Wraith has a fire rate of 8. It's a beam weapon. So beam weapons are like flamethrowers or like laser beams. Like if I go to the Amprex, the Amprex actually chains between enemies, so it's a chain lightning attack. And you know, it's got 80% crit chance, it's got 12 fire rate, pretty low damage, but you know, you're getting those crazy slash procs. So it's like, it's too easy, man. It's too easy. And so the beam weapon, as long as you're latched onto an enemy, that enemy will be ticking damage 12 times a second. So as long as you can line up with somebody, realistically, you'll get an insane damage output. Because it's not like the Soma Prime. The Soma Prime shoots projectiles. So projectiles just have a natural higher chance of missing. But if you have a beam weapon, you just lock on their head, and then it's just like, bzz, they're dead, bzz, they're dead. And, you know, you get the Igneous Wraith. And the cool thing about the Igneous Wraith is that if you use a mod like Heavy Caliber, which lowers your accuracy, then that beam is going to start wiggling. That's how they interpret accuracy, is the beam won't be as accurate around your reticle, but it will be like spread out to more enemies. Oh my god. So if I'm using it on a flamethrower, like the Igneous Wraith, I'm going to be hitting more enemies at once. And so, like the Igneous Wraith, you can just see how you just go out into a crowd of enemies, and then you just obliterate them all. You just kind of wave your flamethrower around, and then they all suddenly die. And it's like, you can see why I have 5,000 hours. Like, you can see why I just have way too many hours in this game. It just, even if you're not playing, you're still playing. Like, there's still stuff to do. And so, like, when you move over to a weapon like the Kuva Ogress, so the Kuva Ogress, as you can see, has 9% crit chance. So you can't really rely on crits and, you know, hunter munitions. But it doesn't really matter, because the Ogress has a radial attack. It has an explosion, an 8-meter explosion that deals 37,000 damage. When you it shoots like 3 projectiles, right? And so each projectile will take a chunk of that 37,000. It's like right now, if I have a 2.4 multi-shot, then that means that, oh yeah, that's a really important factor too, is like multi-shot is this idea that you can multiply the number of projectiles you're shooting. So every time I click, instead of shooting 1 projectile, I'm shooting 2 projectiles with a 40% chance of shooting a 3rd projectile. And so, like, when you do the math, like, every projectile is going to be like about, I don't know, 12,000, 15,000 damage. And so you spread that out over an area, and it's just like, you know, you get these other factors where we come up here and you say, oh, there's no critical chance, but it has 100% status chance. And not only that, but the Ogress is an incredible weapon because it has a special mod unique to the Ogress. So when you fire it, it'll release this AoE cloud of damage that'll deal fire damage, and it'll just burn away the enemies. So you shoot your projectile, and you have this special status element. You know, you have this very special element called viral, which is cold and toxin, and it'll just make it so that every enemy will take more health damage. And so you just, it's this dance of stacking all of these different damage multipliers and stacking all these different you know, I guess I would call it damage resistances. Like you're actually making enemies more susceptible to damage, and then so therefore all of your attacks just do better, and you just stack it and stack it and stack it as many times as you need to until the enemies just start dying, like until nothing can survive. And so you get the picture. So you kind of move down here, and it's like, yeah, the Trumna is really cool because the Trumna is like a rifle. But it has this insane damage output, and it has this small explosion. But the Trumna is a special class of weapons. It's an Entradi weapon. And so the Trumna has a super attack. And so if you kill enemies, you'll charge this super, and then you can release the super, and it'll like shoot this bouncing projectile that bounces all over the place and has insane damage output. And so it's just like, how could you not love this game? There's so much stuff to do. It just never ends. Like, I could literally be playing this game till I die because they're updating it all the time. So it's like you're never going to finish all the game is designed so that you don't really finish it. Like, you're supposed to find shit to do, like figure out what's fun and just do that. And so it's like, oh my God. You get down to the Supra Vandal and the Prisma Gricata, and these are like your classic full auto rifles, but like the Supra Vandal, each projectile does bonkers damage. It does insane damage output. So you just shoot them 5 times and they'll be dead. So each individual weapon I've come to love over such a long period of time. And I think like putting arcanes on all these weapons is really my love letter to like, 7 forma. Each forma will give me one of these special polarities so that I have more capacity in my slot. And dude, I've used up every single point, and I've put an arcane in. Like I've had this weapon for so long. It takes me back. I remember when I got the Soma Prime. And I think the really special thing, the thing that really, really changed my life, was when I started collecting Rivens. And you're saying like, oh my God, this dude collects Rivens? And I'm about to dunk on you. I have 160 out of 180 Rivens. 160. I know what each of those Rivens is. I've put like 30,000 Kuva into each of these Rivens, and I could go on and on and on about like the Akin Brunt was like one of my very first Rivens. And the Akin Brunt is a sword shield combo. And like, I remember getting the Akin Brunt and then having to get the stance mod for the sword and shield, the really, really good stance mod. And it was just grueling and brutal. And I remember getting an Accelerator Riven, and a lot of these Rivens I got legit. Like, you get a veiled Riven, and it's like, you have to complete this challenge, and then you get a chance at any Riven in that class. So let's say you get a rifle Riven. You could get the Accelitra, you could get the Amprex, you could get the not the Archiplasmor, you could get let me see if I can find another one. They're kind of rare, honestly. You get a Boltor or a Baza or a Bratton or a Buzzlock or not a Bubonico, but you get the idea. Like, any rifle is in the pool. So you could get a trash weapon. Like, you could get a weapon that you would never want to use. Like, the Bratton is kind of garbage, all things considered. But like, if you get a Riven for it, then maybe you got a shot. Maybe the weapon has more of a shot. But like, oh my God, if you get one of these Kuva weapons, like Kuva Brahma, Kuva Ayanga, Kuva Shakur, probably the 3 most insanely overpowered weapons like ever created in video games ever. They're like so broken. They're so oppressively useful. Or you talk about like not just the Kuva Brahma, but like the Kuva Tsar. Like, oh my God, it just never ends. It's just this constant like, I could go on and on. The Tsar, and it's like each of these weapons. So it's like you have this chance at getting an okay Riven, or you have a chance to make a weapon that's already good, you can make it absolutely comically OP. You know, like let's go over to the let's look at a couple of these weapons. Let's go to the top. So the Kuva Shakur, the easiest example. You know what my Riven gives me? It gives me 100% crit chance. That's the only reason that this weapon has 200% crit chance is because I got a Riven for it. And it also gives me 100% damage. So it's just like comical. Like, dude, if you get a Riven, that weapon suddenly becomes a different weapon. Like, when you get the Riven, it is like, oh my god, I can make this weapon whatever I want. I can make it be as OP as I want. Any weapon can be just comical. It's just like, it's like this addiction. I feel like Gollum. Like I'm just like collecting these things. Like, give me more. I feel like a goblin. Like, give me more Rivens. Give me more weapons. Like I'm just this. I'm a loot goblin. Anyway, okay. So let's get back to it. You kind of get the picture, you know, like WARFRAME Prime is kind of a shotgun. So you got like, not only do you have rifles, you got bows, you got sniper rifles, you got shotguns, and you got explosive weapons, and oh my god, it's just, oh, and you've got spear guns, which is like a spear. As the name suggests, it is a spear. It is a gun attached to a spear. And so not only can you shoot the spear, but you can throw the spear. And most of the time you don't really need to throw the spear, but it's fun. Like the spear guns just look awesome. Like when you hold a spear gun, you just look like a badass. Like every spear gun stance is like the coolest stance. You look awesome. When you do the idle anime, look how cool he is. Look how cool Harrow is with his spear gun. Oh my god. That's the best one in my opinions. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. Currently, I'm working on the Stun Wraith and also the Javlock. So I think for the Stun Wraith, yep, I need to put a dash polarity right here, and then we're going to put the arcane adapter on there. Okay, so we are 22 minutes into the stream, and I'm going to be doing my first mission. So that's very exciting, folks. We've been going at this for a while. The speakers are off. Okay, let's get some audio back. Oh, it's muted. Boom, there's Twitch. Boom, I'm going to go like that. Let's see how fast it shows up. Oh, that's pretty quick. All right, there we go. Audio's back. Let's do this. So we're leveling the Stun Wraith. It's our only weapon, so we're going to be going into Elite Sanctuary Onslaught. So there's regular Sanctuary Onslaught, which is basically should only be used for leveling Warframes. Always use Elite Sanctuary Onslaught to level up weapons. It's just easier that way. Even if you don't have a good build, bring whatever frame you want. As long as you can support your team somehow, as long as you can provide some kind of buff or some kind of passive to make everybody else's lives easier, that's all you can ask for, folks. Like, kill some enemies, make sure people have energy, like, do the best you can. You know, even if all you're doing is giving them a Zenuric, like, hey, whatever, dude. So, like, I'm using Harrow, so the easiest thing I can do is just give them the Harrow buff, which is his Covenant, his 4th ability. I gotta sneeze. Covenant is just wonderful. It's going to give us free crit chance. It's going to protect people. Oh, that's so cool. Oh, I love that animation. That is fucking dope. It looks so cool on the Stun Wraith. Oh. So this is I think I bought this shotgun skin back when Demos came out. Like, it was a Demos supporter pack upgrade, and you got like this really dope skin, and it's just badass, dude. I love it. So it's like, you know, I think my whole goal is to show people that, like, I think we should try to find a reason to love this game, and then if you do love it, like, if you don't love it, I understand. Like, I know where people, I think it's important for people to realize that someone can not resonate with a game, and that's fine. Like, it's okay if you don't like something. I think it's like, not liking something doesn't mean you have to actively work against it. Where that's like, if you don't like something, then don't talk about it, or like try to be supportive when people do talk about it. Like, not liking something should just mean it's not really your thing. It shouldn't mean like, oh, you hate it. Or, you know, like, you can hate stuff, but like, I would rather just be like, okay, it didn't resonate with me, or it resonated with me. That's how I think about movies, and basically everything is like, oh, I didn't like it. Do I really need to critique it and like tell you like, oh, if it was this way, I would have liked it? It's like, no, I don't know. I can't. I don't think I can be that confident about things. I think I can say like, oh, like, it didn't resonate with me because I prefer things like this, or like I prefer, you know, it's more about like, this is not one of the things that I like, as opposed to saying this is one of the things I don't like. It's more like, I'm saying like a lot. But you get the picture, I think. It's kind of this idea that if I don't like something, I'll just forget about it. That's basically where it is. I'm not going to waste my time talking about things I don't like. That's kind of how my philosophy has always been. It's like, oh, you don't like something? Oh, move on, and then find something you do like and talk about that. And then if somebody talks about something that you don't like, then try to relate it to something that you do like, and bring those worlds together and say like, I can't think of a good example. I guess it would be like The Office and Parks and Rec. You can't necessarily. People are going to talk about episodes of The Office till they die, but I think it's more this idea of, you know, nothing's new under the sun. We can relate things to each other. I think humans are really good about that, about creating analogies and finding connections. You know, when I was in school, we did these things called key terms, and each of the key terms, it would be like description, something else, and then connection. And so like the connection was this idea of, okay, relate this one piece of information to something else that you already know, or relate it to something else in the key term, or try and connect them in a way where you can say like, oh, there were similarities here, be they thematic or literal similarities. But, you know, I think it's just fun to talk about stuff in a positive way. I think that's what it boils down to, is like, I would rather talk about things that I like. I would rather talk about positive things rather than talk about negative things, because I think the world is filled with negative shit. Oh, it's like, oh, you want to talk about the vaccine, negative shit. You want to talk about politics, negative shit. You want to talk about business, negative shit. You want to talk about anything, it's just horrible, sad. It's like, oh, what did we learn today, folks? Oh, that the private sector is very dangerous and you should always have your guard up and never trust anybody. It's like, oh, what a great takeaway for 2022. It's like, the world will never be safe. Companies would rather destroy the planet and make profits than allow their profits to slip by even 10%. So get ready, kids. Florida is about to be underwater so that ExxonMobil can stay in business. You know, or like, guess what, Americans? Do you hate paying for $10,000 worth of bills just because you went to the hospital? Well, sorry. I want to buy another yacht. Like, it's basic shit like that. Oh, my God. And I thought about working for the hospital, but I feel like if I did work for the hospital, I would find out things that would make me sad. And I'd be like, oh, the executive of this hospital is like the sole reason that their budget is so high, or like that their expenses are so high. It's like, oh, if they just paid the top 1% of the hospital like marginally less, then guess what? Your hospital bill would be reduced overnight. And I would hate for that to be true, but wouldn't it be comical if it was? I feel like that would just be the perfect nail in the coffin for like this cynical dystopian world that we live in, where it's like, what's that, kids? You still have hope for the future? That's fucking cringe. Like, oh, is that a Zephyr? That's a cool looking helmet. I think that's Zephyr. Oh, but I have the Zephyr Deluxe skin. Okay, I'm good. Yo, I'm good. I'm good as nails. I didn't even level up all the way. God, that was pitiful. I wish we had like a Saren. That's the one sad thing is if you don't have like a super DPS team, then sometimes you might get shat on. Most of the time, I can level up in 2 or 3 zones. That's probably my best. On rare occasions, I will level up in 1 zone, but that's only like under the perfect circumstances, like the best tile set, the best team. Everybody's just basically, if there's an Equinox there, then we're probably going to level up in 1 zone. I love Equinox. Equinox is my favorite Sanctuary Onslaught character, or Warframe, I guess I should say. Because it's just like you build up MAME, and you build up like 100,000 damage, and then it just like you wait and you wait and you wait and you look at the minimap, and then as soon as the minimap is full of red dots or red arrows, you just kill everything in one. You just press 4, and everything in the map dies, no matter what level it is. Literally everything dies. It is like absolutely comical, so hilarious. It's like, you want to talk about gamers having god complexes? That's it right there. Like, I've been watching TikTok a lot, and it's like every time I watch anime TikTok or I watch like gamer TikTok, like real, I'm talking about gamer, like, what's a good way of describing what I mean by gamer? Like, I think of gamer in a more derogatory way. Like this idea of like, oh, I'm a fucking badass. Like that's what I think of as a real gamer. Like somebody who plays like For Honor, or somebody who plays like Apex Legends, and they're just like sweaty as fuck, or they play COD and they're just like posting clips of them being like, oh, fucking pro gamer moment, like 6 kill streak, team wipe, like, oh, look at me. Or like, this is something that I've always feared when I make Sekiro videos, is like being like, oh, look how cool I am. I'm beating, like, oh, I beat Inner Ishin with both difficulty modifiers. But it's like, that video is 20 minutes long. Like, that fight took me 20 minutes. It was like, oh, it's like a whole different video. I think like posting clips is just cringe to me. I just could never do it. Like where it's like, it has like the bass drop, where it's like, right? It's that kind of clip, and then it'll be like One Piece badass moments. And I guess this is proof of my algorithm. But honestly, if I could get off of anime TikTok at this point, I would, and gamer TikTok, because I went on them as kind of like reconnaissance to be like, okay, what type of content should I be posting? But like what I learned is like, do I really want to be posting that type of content? Will that really, like, can I be proud of that content? And I was like, I don't think so. I think I would rather post other shit. Like, I would rather try to make my own lane than like follow the trends. And I just, it's just like, seeing those trends just kind of is like a bruh moment. That's all I can say. It's just like, I don't think that's for me. I think I'm a different vein. Like I saw that my game showcases were doing okay. So I'm definitely thinking about posting more showcases. I saw that my Sekiro video about understanding blocking and deflecting, I saw that one did really well, so I think I might do another one of those, and do one not just about Sekiro but also about I was thinking like Sekiro, Dark Souls 3, Neo, doing like those 3 and talking about like dodging and spacing, and this idea of like understanding where your enemy is going to hit, being able to predict their movements, like the fundamental idea of like paying attention to an enemy, like what that really means about like, okay, you can block up front, but that's not always going to be effective. And I think like Sekiro is the best example of actually having forward momentum when you're blocking. Like no other game has an active blocking mechanic. That's essentially what I would qualify Sekiro's blocking as, and that's why like if I were to make a video game, I would literally copy that blocking mechanic and improve upon it, and introduce mechanics like stagger mechanics and stun mechanics, and really flesh out just that feeling of how badass it feels to be, crossing swords with a true badass. And like every boss in that game is just a graceful. They're so elegant how they fight, and it's just gorgeous. Like, how can you not love it? And I think but Sekiro is the only game that really has proficient blocking ability, where blocking is incentivized. I think about when I'm playing Neo, if you block some shit, you're getting knocked back. Like, your blocking is like a survival mechanic, where if you're not blocking, you're gonna get fucking obliterated. And sometimes dodging is just not an option. And so I think in games like Neo, the trick becomes more about paying attention to your enemy and knowing where they're going to be. And so you take, if we sit down and play Neo and we're talking about Shibata Katsuie, which is the boar, the fire boar, a lot of his attacks are linear charge attacks, and so he's so dangerous because if you're not dodging to the correct area, if you're not able to predict where he's going to be, then you're going to get blasted by 12 hits and you're going to be dead no matter what. And so it's Shibata is a really great example of putting you through the paces of figuring out okay, here's where he attacks, here's his areas. So these are red zones, and red zones are this idea of there will be an attack in this area guaranteed, and so you have to avoid these areas at all costs. But then sometimes you still might be caught in other attacks, and so you have to be able to be okay, where are my safe zones? Where do I actually move to so that I won't get hit by these attacks, and so that I will be safe? Because really in those games, safe is safe is a joke. The idea that you're actually safe at all when you're ever fighting a boss, that's corny as fuck. You're never safe when you're playing Neo. Really, I love that game because it's just you have an arena and you use the entire arena because they're just moving around so much. All of those bosses are just constantly moving, and being able to hit them realistically and get a combo going is just corny. You're never those fights take so long, especially let's be honest, the game doesn't even start until you get to the very end of the game, literally the last thing you can do, which is the depths of the underworld. Everything else before that is a fucking cakewalk, but the depths of the underworld, that shit is hard. That is an actual test of will, and it's bruh, oh my god, that'll kick your ass. Those fights take forever, so long. And then those fights are you're just fighting for God knows how long, and then you die. You die 20 minutes after a fight, after the fight started, and you're just exhausted. And if you die again, then you don't get a loot bonus, and it's just ugh, it's fucking grueling. Anyway, I'm getting distracted. So yeah, we are going to be playing with the Strun Wraith. So all these guns I've tested them out in the Steel Path. I do want to put it on Sybaris. I do want to put it on Stradivar and the Vacor Heck, but we'll do that eventually. Maybe the Tigress Prime too, but maybe not. For now, we're going to stick with Strun Wraith and Javlock, and then maybe we'll do Corinth Prime. I'm not sure. Yeah, we'll do Corinth Prime too. I think that'll be a good bet. I love the Corinth Prime. It's just another top tier weapon. And when you hear the Corinth, it is just sexy as fuck. So I might turn up the volume. And the speakers are off again. So once again, I got distracted. We did one mission, and then it's been another 40 minutes. It's been another 20 minutes. But now we're good. So now we're just going to be doing Steel Path. It's already 2:40. It's just Jesus, dude. Oh, so I will also say, what am I trying to say? I just got a wireless microphone, and it works great. It is wonderful. It's good to use. I'm happy with it.
Okay.
We're gonna wait for audio to turn on.
Everybody.
All right, that's good. So yeah, stay tuned is what I'll say, because I have a plan I think I might do a game showcase, but it'll be a special showcase. I'm gonna do one on Until You Fall, and Until You Fall is probably my favorite game ever, bar none. Because I can work out while I play that game. If you put a lot of effort into that game, it is fucking grueling. You play it on the hardest difficulty. You get all the way to the end zone. You fight the boss at the end. It is a 30-minute workout that never stops. You get a 20-second break after each zone finishes, and it's just like, oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, let's go. So you've got go to 1. These are my. I guess I should go back here and talk about another special thing, which is if we go over here and we talk about go to 1 and 2, these guys are down here because Harrow and Caliban are at the bottom of my usage list right now. They're really low, so I'm playing them a lot because I want them to be at a normal spot in my usage list. You know, I have like a bunch of other Warframes in there, and I've got to kind of bring them up to snuff. So we're going to go right into it. This is Mariana. This is my default map. Oh. It's just a cakewalk. Dude, I can't hear shit. I'm definitely not getting audio. Am I getting audio? Okay, I am getting audio. It was just really quiet. Okay. So I could actually crank that shit? Okay, I hope that gun noise is picking up. It's a little quiet. I could honestly turn up the volume a little bit. Yeah, let's go 12.1. Okay, we're getting started. It's time to get serious. So this is basically how I test all my weapons. These are like the underwater variant of the Grenier. They actually have pretty high armor stats. But honestly, the Stun Wraith can handle it. Oh, it's just fucking cool. It really fucks up the reload animation. That's what I'm realizing is like, because the Stun Wraith is a per shot recoil, I look at it, it looks all fucked up. It makes the gun look weird. Oh, that's the front of the gun. I see. So I'm actually just reloading the front. That's kind of corny, dude. I like that. It really, oh shit, my cat's dead. Yeah, so I got a cat. He's going to die a lot, but all I have to do is melee, use my explosive glaive, and then it'll definitely work just fine. Yeah, so we're at 1:40. So as long as we're here for 4 minutes, we should get our Acolyte spawn, and then that guy will have 4 steel essence for us. Jesus, I'm getting hit by everything, especially my own shots. So Harrow, his best or his most useful ability is definitely his 3, which is Thurible. What that's going to do, every time you kill something, you're going to get free energy. So it's just wonderful. That's a super useful ability. I mean, that's why Harrow is one of my faves. He's so rad. Basically, in these zones, I only use his 3, his 4, and his 1. His 1 is kind of like a CC, so it'll trap an enemy with chains, and it'll also give you some shields. So Harrow has a lot of shields. He doesn't have a lot of health. So really, I use adaptation because I think it really suits him. I think adaptation is really useful on shielded Warframes. It really adds a lot to your shields. It makes them so useful. And you kind of you definitely save the shields. You don't lose them as quickly. As long as you're not getting obliterated from 12 angles and people are just railing into you. Like Harrow does fine even if I don't use his shield buff. So like if I use my 1, now you can see I have 2,000 shields. So it gave me like, I don't know, 400 shields, 500 shields. See, I have 3,400 now. And that's really useful, right? But really the secret to Harrow is his 4th ability, which literally just makes him invincible for 10 seconds. And then during that time, you can regen all of your shields. You can even get some over shields if you're near enemies, right? So the strat is like, you pop his 4, you pop Covenant. That's going to give you invincibility. And then while you're invincible, here, watch this. I'm going to go invincible. And then while you're invincible, then you can hit them with the chains. It'll give you that free shield. You'll hit the max. So the max for me is 3880. And then you can see I get a 36% flat crit chance buff. So just an absurd amount of crit chance. This gun isn't really built for crit, but it is just built to kill shit. So I'm not worried. I'll tell you that right now. As you can see, another factor within Harrow is when you get those crit bonuses, getting headshots will benefit you even more. Harrow is really built so that headshots are super beneficial. He's one of the few frames where, actually, he might be the only frame that actually gives any kind of bonuses to headshots. I think maybe Ivara is another example. Ivara gives a flat headshot bonus, so all of your headshots deal more damage when you're invisible, and your invisibility is a held ability, so it drains your energy as opposed to using it and then having a duration. So like if I pop into these guys, pop Covenant, as long as I get like 1500 damage, that's going to give me the maximum crit chance buff, which is up 50%. So 50% flat crit chance. You can see I'm getting red crits on the headshots. Look at that. I'm getting almost guaranteed yellow crits. You know, it's probably about 85 or 90% crit chance. You can see there's still a few white numbers. But as you can see, if you get those headshots, you're going to be insta-killing, one-shotting these guys. And it is just wonderful. You can see even now, if I just have the cat's eye buff, which is that, you know, that thing that I was talking about earlier with the 10-second on, 10-second off. You know, so when you're on, you know, when that crit chance buff is active, you're going to be critting, you know, I would say like easily 70% of the time. And so it's just like, oh my god, how could you not enjoy this? So right now we're on the 10 seconds off. I think I know what this is. I think this is the Acolyte that just spawned. There we go. So this is Mania. If I remember right, Misery is the one that I need to be afraid of. Because Misery has this really... So these guys are very cool. Basically, it's an enemy that has Warframe abilities. So like Mania... I'm not really sure what his abilities are. He has some weapons. He's dead now, so it doesn't really matter. The one that I always remember is Misery. Misery puts a bubble around you. So whenever you shoot projectiles, they get sucked directly back and they hit you. So like, and I'm pretty sure it instigates self-damage. So if he ever activates his ability on you, what's going to happen is, let's say you have an explosive weapon and you shoot him, you're instantly dead. Because what happened was that explosive weapon arced back around and literally just blew you up. And you deal, you know, the weapons deal so much damage that if you self-damage yourself, you're going to die instantly. That's like, there's this one specific game mode that I really hate. There's two of them, actually. There's this really cool mission type called Sorties. Sortie, however you want to say it. S-O-R-T-I-E. Sortie. And what happens in those missions, each of those missions has a debuff. They have a special downside that's unique to that mission. And there are only two that I'm ever afraid of. The first one is called Radiation Hazard. And the second one is Elemental Effect Chance Radiation. And why do those debuffs suck? Like, what do you think is so bad about radiation? Well, that's one of the secrets of Warframe. If you get radiation, so basically, an important thing to keep in mind is that every single damage type has a chance to apply a unique status effect or status ailment or however you want to call it. They show up in a lot of games. I talked about them a little bit in Hades. Hades has those status ailments, like you have weak, which comes from Aphrodite. So this is a very common game mechanic. This idea that each damage type has a chance to apply a unique debuff both to an enemy, but also, guess what, to a player. So let's say that an enemy has a radiation damage. Let's say there are certain enemies that shoot lasers, and those lasers apply radiation damage. So if that guy shoots you, if that enemy shoots you, then you're going to be affected by the radiation status effect. And what will happen when you're under that status effect? Well, now you can deal damage to your teammates. So now there's self-damage. It's the only time... It's not self-damage, it's team damage.
You exist to strike. You strike.
It's the only time that you will ever deal team damage is if you have a radiation debuff. So there'll be like a little red icon of a radiation symbol, and that means that you are under the effect of radiation, and if you shoot someone, they are going to fucking die. They are going to die in one shot. And God knows how many times I've played a sortie with the radiation debuff or with the radiation hazard debuff, and some fucking idiot who's using Wukong lets his clone get hit by radiation, and then all of a sudden his clone is just wiping the entire team, just killing everyone over and over again. It's the stupidest shit I've ever seen. It's so dangerous. It's like Warframe players are not smart enough to think about that. So as soon as they get hit by radiation, boom, they're just killing teammates left and right. It is just absolutely comical. It is just horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anybody, but it happens nonetheless. That's all I'll say. I wanted to go equipment, inventory, steel essence. 9. Okay. So we need to do 2 more runs, and then we can what am I trying to say? Then we can get another arcane adapter. Yeah, I think that's right. Okay, so then we got Strun Wraith, Javlock.
Operator, the system needs you. Will you begin another mission?
We definitely got to do these 3. This is the Kuva Quartak, Kuva Comb, and the Kuva Karak. Lots of harsh words, harsh browns. Anyway, let's try out the Javlock. Let's see how good it is. Javlock, 99% crit chance, 5 times crit multiplier, but sadly, it's just because my Riven has 200% crit chance. So if you get the Javlock, it's not going to be this way. You're gonna have to get a Riven for it, sadly. But also, I'm not sad. Get Rivens. That's my PSA to anyone who plays Warframe. Get Rivens. That is the secret to this game. Once you have one Riven, the whole game changes. As long as it's a Riven for something you like. I think it's you know, when you got a weapon you like, that's fine. But eventually you're gonna have every weapon. Not great. I wish it was a little bit better. Oh, that's a big hit. Whoa, that was a huge hit. Hey, you know, not half bad. Most of these guys I can just wipe out anyway, so we're good. I think headshots will be good for the Javlock. Well, headshots are good for every weapon. But we can get those big shots. Hey, big shot. There's a kill. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. That's a kill. Alright. Alright, now we're talking. So I think that's one of my favorite things about this game is, you know, it's when you start out, you don't really have the opportunity to get a lot of weapons, right? Every weapon requires a weapon slot. Every weapon slot costs money, be that platinum or literal dollars that you spend on platinum. And so it's like, realistically, I think if you have like let's say you set aside $20 a month, that like, oh, if I get a platinum discount in this month, like a 50% discount, then I'll buy it, and it'll be like $25. and then I'll get 1,000 plat to my name. And then you can do a lot of shit with 1,000 plat, and the most useful thing you can do is definitely getting weapon slots and getting Warframe slots and just buying a bunch of slots so that you can have as many Warframes as you want, as many weapons as you want. You're not stuck. There's a lot of times when you definitely get a feeling of being stuck, but like realistically, who doesn't have $25 every couple of months? You know, every month or so. If you're smart and you get 1,000 plat, you can make that plat last a long time. As long as you're farming for most of your shit and not really just buying everything. You know, I have a really bad habit of always having plat, and so I'm just always buying shit with plat, and I'm just constantly, like, you know, plat comes in and plat goes out. That's how I'm basically a whale. But most people aren't like that. Like, they want to be stingy with their money. Not stingy, but resourceful. Let's say that. Thrifty. Let's use the Boy Scout term. Thrifty. And so being thrifty, it just means that, oh, you don't want to invest money into something? Then simply just invest time. Oh, you don't have time? Well, that's too bad. I don't know what to tell you that. Invest money? I don't know. Those are the only options, really, for a lot of games. It's like, oh, you don't have a lot of time on your hands? Oh, spend like $20 here or there, and it'll save you some time. This game is all about that, where you say, hey, you know, it's not going to be like skins. Skins are useless, right? They don't give you any value. They don't make the game easier. But that's the whole point. They're just artistic expression. They serve a different purpose. Warframe is very unique in the sense that when you spend money in Warframe, you get something for that money. You get a lot of stuff for that money. And if you're smart about when you spend money and how much you spend, then you can make the game a whole lot easier for yourself, and you can really save yourself some headache later on down the line. And I think that's something that's what it means to me to be a veteran. Is being a veteran in this game means having a little bit of cash to spend so that you can make your life easier. And it's like, oh, I love this game, but I don't love everything about it. I don't necessarily want to spend 3 weeks farming for something when really I could spend a small, insignificant amount of platinum and have it immediately, you know? And it's like, oh, okay, I understand what this game is for now. That's how they make their money. It's like, hey, if you are going to spend money, let's at least make it worth your while. You know, you can buy skins, you can buy cosmetics, but there's also a lot of really useful stuff you can buy that will make your life a whole lot simpler and make the game a whole lot more fun. I think that's where it is. It's like, if I have 5,000 hours in this game, if I have multiple days spent in mission, actually playing missions in this game, don't you think it makes sense to just spend a little bit of money, just give back to the team a little bit, right? Like, if you don't have money, you don't have money. But if you do have money, what's $25 here or there? That's how I believe. Like, in my eyes, if you don't have enough money to spend on Warframe, you probably need more money. Or, you know, you're in a situation where, oh, I think I got miseried. I think I fucked myself. Damn it. You know, I think, like, hey, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, yeah, maybe don't spend money on Warframe. But thankfully, I'm not living paycheck to paycheck, so I have money to spend. You know, I think about, like, oh, if you're eating out a lot, what if you ate out once less a week? You know, if you eat out 3 times a week, what if you only ate out, you know, 2 times a week, but only for 1 week? And then the money you save on going out, you'll actually be able to spend in Warframe. And like, hey, guess what? You saved, what, $40, maybe $50 going to dinner or getting some drinks. You know, like, if you go to a bar, like, you're getting 3 drinks, guess what? That's $40-50 after you pay, you know, after you add on the tip and everything. You know, I would say if I ever went to the bar, I would expect to spend $50. Just getting a little drunk, getting a little buzzed, all right? But I'm thinking about, you know, I think it's very simple for me. I'm lucky in the sense that I don't necessarily feel comfortable going to the bar because I don't really have a lot of friends to go to the bar with. So guess what? I don't go to the bar, and the money that I would have spent going to the bar, guess what? I can just spend it on Warframe over a longer period of time. Because I think the important thing is you shouldn't be spending money on Warframe all the time. I think the important times are like, hey, if you have a 50% discount, you should definitely spend it on plat. Like, you should definitely get plat with that discount. Because, dude, you can get so much plat with that. You get 1,000 plat, just like that. Just like nothing. You know, 25 bucks. I feel like I'm shilling this a lot, but as someone who's invested a lot of time into this, I can tell you that not everything is fun to do. And once you've done something like 100 or 200 times, or it feels like you've done it 200 times, at some point you just want to be like, yeah, no, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. And then you just give in and you spend a little bit of plat. And then there you go. Solution met. That's what I believe. But, you know, I think I have a lot of fun just relaxing with this game. Like, for me, I've spent the past couple days basically just doing this over and over. Doing this one mission over and over again. Killing these enemies. Getting steel essence. Getting arcane adapters for my primary weapons. Because I think primary weapons are really the strongest candidate for, like, swapping out. And, like, my whole goal is to, like, I want to have, like, 40 or 50 weapons that I can call upon at any times that will serve me well. I'm getting a little cold. I'm going to put some socks on. Give me 1 second. Oh, we got a bot. Nice. We got a bot in chat. Hell yeah, brother. Okay. All right, that's a little bit better. Much easier. This is going to be much easier. My name is Baron Much Easier. Oh yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. You feel that? You feel that? It's rock hard. Solid steel. I can't do that voice for a long time. It really is destructive on my voice. My throat is hurting a lot right now. Zatzakir. Zatzakir. Okay. Let's see. I might also put on a sweater. Should we pause and I can put on a sweater? I guess after this mission, we got 4 enemies left to kill. As you can see, is that another one? Yes, we have another chance at an acolyte. As long as we wait, just hold off for a little bit. There's another acolyte. Ah, yes, another acolyte. Very, very interesting. Very, very clever. There we go. And just like that, we got our steel essence. We could have got 8 steel essence, but at least we got 4. That's all I can say. At least we got 4. Okay, let's get out of here. Let us get out of here. So do Stun Wraith. We'll do Jab Lock. I just want to go around and test a bunch of different weapons. As you can see, this is like my top, I would say top 30 of my usage list. And like anything that crosses the top 50, or probably the top 30 is pretty accurate, are going to be pretty god tier. Pretty universally usable. Like, you can use them in almost any situation. And obviously, the Kuvazar is going to dominate above everything, but that doesn't mean you can't use the Javlock. That's always what I've believed. All right. All right. Well. What do we have here? We've got Javlock. We tested that guy out. He's pretty nice. Is there any modifications we might make? Well. Who knows? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with that build. Let's look at... Yeah, we'll move a little bit further on. Dude, I know that the Kuva Kortak and the Kuva Comb and all of these guys are insane. Let's use the Corinth Prime. I think you'll like the Corinth Prime.
Stand by while
I have to constantly check the audio because... Oh my god. I keep thinking that it's the audio is turning off. Okay, I sat my chair up a little bit. I need to give myself a little bit of headroom. All right, a little bit better. Okay, Corinth Prime. The Corinth Prime just sounds awesome. That's all I can say. Yeah, this build is going to be fine. What is that, 90% crit chance? 90% crit with a 12 times multi-shot. And then the other secret is galvanized mods. Specifically the galvanized chamber and galvanized hell. This is going to give you bonus multi-shot, this stat multi-shot, every time you kill an enemy for 4 stacks. So you're going to get like a free extra shot. But like on a shotgun, you're going to get way more than 1 shot. You're going to get like 3 or 5 or like 6. You're going to get tons of bonus pellets. And it's just going to be comical. It's just going to be wonderful. Let's do this. Mariana. 308. Could I play something else maybe? That'll be maybe in the cards. I'll think about it. I'm kind of enjoying myself right now. You know, I'm sitting pretty cozy. Kev, let me know if that's loud enough. Is it really? It doesn't really sound very piercing. I think I might need to turn up sound effects. Over here, sound effects. 23 maybe. Let's try it. Because this gun just sounds awesome. There, that comes through a little bit better. It's just meaty. It's just juicy as fuck. Woo! I mean, I love it. I love it. And I think my favorite thing is that the YouTube video will be at 1080p 60, and I don't even have to download the file. And that's been like such a joy for me, is like if I do upload content, I always upload it in 720p 30. So it just saves me so much space on my hard drive. Like I've barely used any space on my my external hard drive. It's like a 5 terabyte hard drive, and I've used like nothing. It's just so good. I just love this shotgun, dude. You have no idea. I could do this all day and all night. Dun 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 dun. The only time I feel alright is by your side. That's all day and all the night, funny enough. Who would have thunk it? The song that matches perfectly to what I said. Dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. I hope that picked up good on the mic. Dun, 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 dun. Oh, that's classic. That's like, it must be 80s. It's like something about the 80s. They just revolutionized like the sound. Funks it also monks it. He who funks it also monks. Nice, Kev. That's A+ right there. I give that an A+, dude. That is hell yeah. Hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah. Radical, dude. Hell yeah, my man. Oh yeah, dude. And the Corinth, you just aim at their head. You aim at their neck, realistically, because then most of the shots will just end up hitting them in the head. and you just blasting. And then I started blasting. I just started blasting. Blast. Blast. Oh yeah, man. Oh yeah, man. Boop. Dead. Okay, come down here. Alright, folks. I'm quite excited about this now. I don't know why I never thought of this before, but I had this idea of making TikTok versions of my game showcases. So like instead of, I think it would be really cool. So like let's take my most recent game showcase, which is Curse of the Dead Gods. It would be so awesome. I want to upload an entire run of that game. So what I've done is broken it up into 3 sections, and each section is still 20 minutes. But I don't expect people to watch the whole 20 minutes. It looks like I am going to need ammo. I am going to need ammo mutation on this guy. I don't think people are going to watch the whole 20 minutes, but I don't expect them to. That's why I've broken it up into 3 parts. That's why I've made the parts a little bit shorter. But really, like, I think what I want to show people is, like, when I make content, my goal is that every minute of it is worth your time. And so, I think it's more of like, do people have that kind of time investment? And I think it's, if someone is willing to sit down and invest that time, then I want to reward them, and I want to give them a lot of interesting content that it's like, oh, maybe you skipped around the 20-minute video. But if you actually just sat down and watch, then the stream of consciousness is really fun. And like, it's fun for me to go back and listen to my old streams. I'm going to die. It's fun for me to go back and listen to my old streams because it's like, I kind of like the stream of consciousness of it. I like how everything just kind of flows. And it's fun for me to just upload unedited footage, because when you upload unedited footage, yeah, Misery is the one I think I need to be afraid of. Maybe not. Maybe it was the other one. I haven't seen the bubble yet. I think I'm okay. But what am I trying to say? I think it's like, I want to upload unedited content because I think there's a lot of value in having it be full of stuff and really just keeping the flow of it. Because when you play a roguelike, everything flows into itself and there's always something to talk about. When I play any game, I'm always talking. So like, when I upload this Warframe showcase, I'm not going to cut out anything. I'm not going to cut out the stuff about other games because I want to show people that, like, oh yes, I play Warframe, but I also just like talking about Warframe because it reminds me of a lot of other games. And that's what I love about games is when you really love specific aspects of games, then you start to see them everywhere. That, the more specialized your likes become, the more connections you find. Like, literally all I do is play roguelikes. And that's what I love about action roguelikes is like so many of the mechanics I already know. And so many of the mechanics I've been playing with for, well, let's say 2016. Let's say maybe 4 years. Let's say 5 years. I've been playing with similar mechanics. I'm thinking about since Hades was first released. It was in early access, and there was just like, you played it on the Epic Games Store or whatever. It was just a wonderful game. It was wonderful. So good. Oh, and I just like, and then that was something that was so cool about playing Hades was with Hades, you kind of saw the game evolve over time, and you saw like, oh, I'm seeing trends in Hades that are going to show up in video games for the rest of time. There's a lot of ideas in Hades that are really revolutionary but revolutionary in a different sense. Like, I think the roguelike is this idea that, hey, if a good idea exists, then use it. Even if it's someone else's idea, that idea is so good that if you don't have that idea, your content will be worse. And that was my whole philosophy with creating my book, is like, to me, I had to use One Piece as a template because if I didn't, then my whole story would be worse. If I didn't make it an homage to One Piece, it would have just been disappointing. If I tried to make it some other way, because so much of that manga is just incredible structure, incredible design. You know, like that world was handcrafted in such a beautiful way, so that when you write that story, when you tell that story, it resonates so well. Like this idea that every island is an arc. Every island has a unique villain. Every island, you know, when you're in the East Blue, you're constantly getting introduced to new characters. And then when you move on to the first half of the Grand Line, like all of a sudden everybody gets stronger, and there's this palpable feeling of the world is changing as the characters change. But really what's happening is that the game, it's almost like a video game. Like as the characters progress, they get stronger and stronger and stronger, and they learn new abilities and they learn new mechanics, they meet new characters, but at every turn they're being challenged with stronger and stronger opponents, and each opponent fights in such a unique way that it really is just fun to write. It's just fun to create a world where almost any power can exist. Like you can figure out a way for almost any superpower to exist. And so if you have limitless options, then you just pick something. You pick two ideas and you smash them together and you bring it into your world and you express that in a cool way, and you say like, how can I make this exciting for me as a writer? And I think like if it's exciting for me as a writer, then it'll be exciting for you as a reader, and it's fun. I love just writing a fight scene and filling it with excitement, and it's just so fun. I can't get enough of it. That's all I gotta say. It's just a wonderful experience being able to write something. And you know, I think it's scary for me to write something based off of another person's work, but I hope they understand, and I hope they can see that, you know, I have big plans for this story, and I have ideas that go far beyond just One Piece or just manga. Like I want to include ideas from all over the world and from all over the internet. Like that's been my real secret, is like I wrote a lot of stuff in that's meant for the SCP crowd. Like for people that have read the SCP wiki and they know about the SCP articles, I wanted to include a lot of stuff that was like, wait a minute, this is like literally beat for beat. This is just from the SCP universe. Like these grand ideas, and I want to say these names and just imagine people go like, "Oh my god, he put this in his book?" Like he put blank from the SCP universe into his book, and it works. It fits so well. Like I've come up with these ideas and they make me so giddy just thinking about them. And like I want to play to that crowd and be like, "Hey, I get you. I know you're there. I want to make something for you that's like cool and like a game that feels like an SCP game." Like, oh my god, I just came up with this crazy idea, and it would be so awesome to like tell a grander story about, like, you know, you got the Sarkites and you got the Mechanites and you got, oh my god, all this stuff. It's so exciting for me. Oh, and it's like, I think everybody should write. I think everybody should write stuff because it's just a joy. It's a treat to just come up with an idea, try to make it your own, and then really just go wild and tell a crazy story. I think that's all I got to say. Oh. So let's see. We definitely got to do Corinth Prime. Got to put Blade, or we got to do a Forma on here, and then we got to put a Forma on here. So that's what we're going to do next. We've got Corinth. I'm pretty sure that I have enough Steel Essence. Steel Essence. 17. Nice. So then we go over here. Corinth Prime, we want Strun Wraith. Cool. Step 1. Then we come over here. We go to the Strata Relay. Busy. Dude, I gotta constantly be checking the soundbar because I'm so worried that it's just gonna turn off. Bruh. Oh. Jesus. I've been noticing that my soundboard keeps getting bunked up, so I gotta go in and deal with it. Okay, I need to actually just fast travel to Teshin. And then we come up here, Steel Path Honors, Primary Arcane Adapter. Yes, sirree. So this is where you get all the special stuff for the Steel Path. These are the best two things, secondary and primary arcane adapters. I'm gonna be buying those for so long. I have so many weapons that I could get arcanes on. Okay, so we got Strun Wraith. We got arcane adapter up here, and then we're gonna put primary merciless, and that's gonna reduce our reload speed by a ton. That's gonna be a secret. The secret weapon is always the reload speed reduction. Okay, so that's done. So then we're going to Corinth Prime. Looks like we have to level it up before we can actually upgrade it. So we got to go into Elite Sanctuary Onslaught, and then we got to grind that shit out. So yeah, the next couple showcases I'm going to be thinking about are definitely going to be Tanuki Sunset and Life Slide. So be expecting those guys. Curse of the Dead Gods is going to be a 3-parter, so I might actually just upload all 3 parts this week or this week and next week. You know, who knows? I might do 2 parts this week and then 1 part next week, and then do Tanuki Sunset the day after or Thursday. Yeah, I'm trying to work on a new schedule. We're thinking about uploading Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, just because, you know, I'm trying to go to the gym, trying to stay healthy and stay active and actually gain max bench. You know, I haven't been able to increase my max bench for such a long time, and it's good to get back. It's great to feel strong again. I can't. I think everybody should go to the gym. I know it's scary. It's really, people are really unsure with COVID, but I think for the most part you'll be okay. If someone is really immunocompromised, obviously they shouldn't go to the gym, but probably they shouldn't go a lot of places, and so that can be just a big problem in general. Okay, Google. Thank you, Google. There we go. Oh, I'm on the wrong build. Fuck. That's embarrassing. I'm on the wrong build. All right. Sorry about that, folks. It's a little embarrassing, I got to say. We don't want to be on go-to. We want to be on leveling. And then we come over here, Corinth Prime. All right, there you are. All right. Yeah, so we got a ton of weapons in this next class. Let's actually see. I want to do some looking. Let's see. We've got 1 row, 2 rows, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's the top 30. The Javlock is number 29. And then if we go down here, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's the top 45. Top 45 ends with Stalta. Right below that, we've got some really great weapons. We got Tiburon Prime. We got Batacor. So this is 45. So if we go 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34 rows. 34 times 3 is over 100. I have over 100 primary weapons. Do you get me? Do you understand what that means? 34 times 3 is 101, I think. So I have... No, it's 102. So, like, holy shit. If we talk about top 45, that's like the top half of my users list. But if we come down to this bottom, you'll see all of these incredible weapons. Proboscis Cernos, Sedo. This is the Spore Lacer. This is the Vermisplicer. We've got the Kuva Heck. We've got the Bosmu. We've got the Astilla Prime. The Tenet Archiplasmor. We've got the Tenet Envoy. Ambassador. Sporothrix, Carmine Penta, Tenora. Like, all of these weapons are so awesome, and I need to get them way higher on my use list to reflect how good they are. You know, we talk about Tenet Tetra, Tenet Flux Rifle, Strun Prime, Scourge Prime, Nataruk. That's a little bit of spoilers right there. I won't get into that. But oh my, and then we get to these bottom four. These bottom four motherfuckers, these bottom four dudes are crazy, yeah. They're crazy. That was too much for my voice. Oh my god. I mean, just read them and weep. These are my kit guns. These kit guns are absolutely insanity. Absolute insanity. Every single one of them is god tier. I've used them so much. This guy has... Yes, he has primary merciless. I think this guy might also. No, I need this one too. And this guy just deals so much damage. Charge shot. 6,000 damage. Oh my god. It's just comical. Anyway, I'm getting so distracted. I think I should play more. I think I should play Warframe more often. That's what I'm trying to say. Because this game is just fun. It's fun to talk about, fun to play, fun to gush over and be a gamer. That's a true gamer moment. Is just like talking too much. That's how you know that like gamer. That's like the hallmark. Like to me, if you have social skills, then you're like a gamer plus. Like you're like a different version. You're not a true gamer. Because like real gamers, like they just play games all day. Like because they don't have anyone else to. I guess that's more just for me. Maybe I'm just looking. Maybe I'm just projecting. But I think gamers can relate with that. That like, oh yeah, I play video games because I don't really have. I don't really hang out with people in person. Or like, you know, I think it gets like there's different levels of gamers too. Like there's gamers who play COD with their friends and are like always online. I don't even see that as gamer. Because to me, you have friends to play with. And you have friends that you're talking to all the time. Like true gamers are just like alone. Just like quietly playing. And like they don't talk for hours and hours. And it's just like, it's just natural for them to just like quietly play Dark Souls in their room for like many hours. Maybe that's just me. I would hope that more people can relate with that. But I think it's about saying like, oh yeah, if you like have friends that you hang out with and then you play games sometimes, or like if you play games with your friends, then like gaming is your hobby, but you're not really a gamer, like in the derogatory sense, where like if you really call someone a gamer, you're really saying like, oh dude, you play video games because you have no one to hang out with. And it's like, yep, that's me to a T. I got lots of time to make videos because yeah, I don't really have friends to hang out with. It's weird to say. And it's not a diss on the people that I do know. It's just like, you know, everybody's trying to make money. I think everybody's trying to make money. Everybody's busy. That's kind of what I've learned is the people in Kirkland and the people in Seattle take their jobs really seriously. They got work shit to do. They've got lots of responsibility. And they're not like me who has, you know, who spends 12 hours a day playing video games. Like basically from midnight or from noon to 10 p.m. my computer is on and I'm playing video games or like watching YouTube or something. That's abnormal. Like I'm playing video games 10 hours a day essentially, on and off. Like it's even if I'm working, I'm also playing video games. Like that's the fucking comical part. And especially when I get into Warframe, dude, I'll be like playing Warframe and doing work at the same time. And like while something is rendering, I'll like pop over and do like do some build testing in my Warframe game. It's like a whole new level. Like I think really my thought process is like I think we should separate the term gamer into like more variety. Like I think gamer should mean more things. You know, like gaming hobbyists or like I don't know. It's you're not even a gamer. You just play games on the side. But it's like if you're a true gamer, dude, it's games or nothing. It's games or you're literally doing nothing all day and all night. That's literally how the life is. It's like you're either playing video games or you're doing nothing. That's it. Those are the only two options. Oh, I'm so close to leveling up Corinth Prime. Oh. And it's like, dude, I just think like the TikTok lane that I'm on is not really for me. I feel like I'm too highbrow for it, which is a weird thing to say, but I think I can stand by that I don't necessarily things that appeal to a wide audience, things that are trendy, don't necessarily appeal to me in the same way. And I think that goes the other way where things that I like aren't really trendy. People don't really like them very much. That's all I can say. So I think maybe I might do a showcase on Thursday, and then I might do an understanding video games on Saturday, and actually do some long form content and do one about understanding video games, dodging and spacing. I literally needed to kill one enemy to level up. Fucking comical, dude. All right, we're gone. I think that would be good because it's good to see. It's good to see that my videos are getting views. That's nice. That's nice. Okay, that's all I can say. And I think that's my incentive that maybe I should be making more long form content, or at least try and break it up into different parts. But I think a long form video is good to just have it all in one. All of my thoughts on dodging and whatever you want to call it. Okay. So this guy's leveled up. So then we need to buy some Forma. As you can see, I freely spend platinum like it's nothing. So we got that, and then we need a dash over here. So we got to level it up again. Don't worry, folks. It will take me just a few moments. Do not worry yourselves at all. Oh. Well, ladies and gentlemen. How exciting is this? Damn, they built purely for shields. How interesting. Hey, yo! Where you going, love? Where you going, bruv? Bruv, love. Can I do an emote? Yeah, I'll do an emote. Oh, yeah, brother. Oh, yeah, look at that. Hoo-hoo. Hoo-lord. Hoo-lord. Hoo-hoo. Hee-hee. Okay, they're going to load in. I think he's going to wait for them to load in, so that's okay. This is a classic. It's an absolute classic. I can always get down with that. Yes, of course. But of course. So we definitely want to pop this guy to get some energy. Energy. Dude, this gun still shoots so fast. What the fuck? Why am I shooting this so fast? I don't have any fire rate modifiers. That's just how fast it shoots. Yo, that's fucking comical, man. Yo, that's fucking jokes, bruv. Yo, that's a mad joke. What the fuck is going on, bruv? Oh, yo. This shit's wildin', man. This shit's crazy. Fucking wild. And I probably mentioned it before, but I could also upload. Maybe I'll just record some footage of Until You Fall, and I'll just keep it. And then at some point I can make it into a video. Because I think Until You Fall, playing that is a lot easier when I'm not streaming. And then I can kind of compile it into a video and try and be as articulate as possible while also just fucking dying. Just literally getting my ass handed to me constantly. That game is so awesome. Like, I would recommend it to anyone. Like, if you have a VR rig, get that game. Get Until You Fall. Literally everyone should play that game. It is the best workout ever. Because it's like, oh, you're not tired? After 30 minutes of playing it, do it again. Go for an hour and really just beat yourself to the bone. I would say Until You Fall and Knockout League are my 2 favorite VR games ever created. Purely because I can work out with them. And it's an actual fun workout where, like, when you play Knockout League, there's like a training mode. And so you get a couple different training options. You have the Reflex Alley, which is basically like you have 3 cannons, one in front of you, one off to your left, and one off to your right. And they're going to launch left-hand balloons. They're going to launch right-hand balloons. They're going to launch weights that you have to dodge. And they're going to launch medicine balls that you have to block. And you can turn some of those off. So if you don't want to block, then turn off the medicine balls. And if you don't want to dodge, then turn off the weights as well. But it's like, for me, I just turn off the blocks. And then, like, oh my god, once you get up to speed and you're like playing on the hardest difficulty, what happens is the balloons just start coming faster and faster and faster, and your body just naturally gets faster. It ramps up perfectly. It's so insanely cool. It's one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And you just, like, you can't give up. Like, your body won't allow you to quit. So you just go and you go and you go until you're, like, literally exhausted and dying. But even if you're exhausted, dude, there's, like, moments I'll literally, like, it'll be like an anime moment, or I'll take a deep breath, and then all of a sudden I just get this burst of energy. It's just like, it's like my second wind, and then I just go faster and faster, and it's like I feel like Luffy. I'm just like, I go sicko mode, and then I'll do that like 5 times, like where I'll have a second wind. It'll be like my 6th wind or like my 8th wind, and I'll just be doing that over and over, where you just recenter yourself. You take a deep breath, and then you keep pushing. You keep going faster and faster and harder, and then you stop, and you're like, dude, I'm done. I can't do this anymore. And it's like, dude, if you did that for 2 sets, you would be dead. You would be on the ground. And oh my god, is that satisfying. Like, I would love to do that on carpet. You know, I dream of having my own apartment and like being able to stand on carpet in my own space with tons of open space where I can just whip out the VR. And it's like, even on my workout days, like even on Monday, Wednesday, Friday when I work out, I could still play those games, and it would just be like a cardio, and I would just blast my cardio. Like, those games get my heart rate up higher than anything ever. Like, nothing gets my heart rate higher than those games. It is, like, honestly comical at this point. It's the coolest shit ever. I could just go on and on. And that's why, like, I would rather do them in a separate video where I can just kind of talk about it and not have to be on stream. Because I think streaming it is just a pain in the ass to have to set it up and then to have make sure that everything's working. Like, if I can just record and not have to work, like, you know, I hate to say it, Kev, but I wouldn't be able to see you in chat. Being in chat would make things much more difficult for me. I wouldn't really be able to chat. And so, like, if I just record it and do it quietly, or like do it on my off time, dude, that would kick ass. Oh my god, that's got me excited. I'm glad to see that my Understanding Sekiro video has some decent views. That makes me happy. I just saw it in my analytics one day, and I was like, whoa, nice. Oh, and I'm glad. Honestly, my new microphone sounds really good, and I'm really happy with it. And I think, like, honestly, you know, I've been talking to one of my friends. He's kind of going through some stuff right now, but you know, he just reached out to me, and he was saying like, "Oh, how you doing?" And I said like, "Hey," we kind of had a chat, and he said like, "Oh, I want to start a podcast. I want to start uploading content." And I was like, "Dude, I have like $1,500 worth of audio and video equipment. Now don't Don't come to my house and fucking steal it, okay? Kev, I guess, because you're the only one watching, or anyone else watching. If you fucking rob I'll kill you. I'll literally run a sword right through your chest cavity. Delete bond. Dude, but it's like I want to be like, "Hey, I already have all this equipment. I will be happy to produce your content, and all I ask is that I get a producer credit." So like when you actually upload the content, all you have to do is say produced by Amar Joshi, and that's it. That's all I want. Red Hawks oh my god. Through your ass. Oh my god. No, I would be who would I be? Who fights with a single sword? Who would be the best example of someone that fights with a single sword? That you could probably Mihawk. I can't think. What would be like Hawk Wave? Like I would hit you with a Hawk Wave that splits you in half. I was trying to come up with an actual. Yeah, I know, dude. I think me. Oh, is there another? Or like, oh my god. No, I would be Brooke. I would be the humming swordsman. You know, where he'd go. Oh, I don't even remember. I haven't seen him do that in so long. Like when he's in Wano, I haven't seen him do that. Where he just goes, "Kichaimashita." Yarose kichaimashita. I think that's the wrong. I don't think I should have said Yarose, but and then he goes, "Ching," and then they go, and then the ice goes. Oh, it's classic. Brooke, one of my favorites. Just wait. I'm excited. I have a lot of plans for the Brook analogy, or the Brook allegory. I've got a lot of plans for his character, and his character is really connected to a lot of stuff, and I wanted to tell a grander story with him, and the fact that, you know, like Brook comes from a completely different generation before Roger, but they don't really touch on that. I mean, that's fucking 45-degree Brook right there. Like he's 50 years old. Like he's 50 years older than, or I guess 20 years older than Roger. And I think I want to like do more with that and be like, oh, the world was completely different before Roger arrived, like before Tucson Silver arrived. And I want to be like, oh my god, like this guy was just a crazy rocker, basically. Oh my god, I don't want to spoil too much, but it's exciting. I have big plans for that shit. That's gonna be like. Oh, let's see, book 5 maybe. I think that'll be where you learn a little bit about him. Is book 5. You meet one of his crew. I don't want to spoil too much, but oh my god, it's so hype for me to like think about it and plan it out and map it out really far in advance. Oh, it's just like so dope. Okay, so Corinth Prime is good. We have like a couple minutes left on the stream. Let's run around with the Kuva Kortak. Let's try and get one more arcane adapter, and then that'll be it for the stream. I don't think we're going to get that far. So we could do... Oh, we need Javlock. That's the one that we were going to do, right? Yeah, Javlock. Okay. So that's our goal. So then we're going to run around with the Kortak, the Comb, and the Karak, and we're just going to have fun with it. I think I'm on the wrong loadout. Yes. God damn it. Okay, we come over here. Come over here. Corinth, we're going to take the Kortak. Okay, here we go. And I could just go on. And I think that's what's really fun for me is like I wanted to put my story in a world where I could have crazy ass guns too, where like the guns were and the weapons were a huge factor, and like every weapon feels so unique. You know, like I don't want to talk about it, but there's in book 2. I think I really need to be editing book 2 and get that into publishing state, and then I want to talk to a commission artist and have them commission a piece for me, where just with the first 5 characters of the book, and really do something awesome and be like, and also have them reprint book number 1 and do it with a different cover. I think would be so awesome. But like, I don't think very many people have actually bought the original cover, so I kind of want to wait off on that until like, oh, I guess I didn't even mention that was like, yeah, I'm gonna be uploading. You know, I don't get your hopes up, but you might see an audiobook of God's Racetrack Volume 1. You just might, coming in the near future. You know, if I ever get if I ever get a spark of inspiration, I will definitely get to work on chapter 1 of the audiobook. And just, I was thinking for book 1, I just upload it for free. Or like maybe not do the whole book, but do like the first 2 parts. Like I do Rufus Dagwood, and then I finish with Dex's story. And just do those 2 on audiobook, and then sell the rest of the audiobook so someone can buy it. I think that would be so cool, is like doing the whole book, because I have audio equipment. I have tons of shit. I would love to do some kind of, what am I trying to say? I would love to do sound effects. I would love to do like sword swipes and explosions and bones cracking and really make it feel visceral. And I want like the sounds of the story to really embed themselves. And like, I don't want to spoil it, but I want to come up with some like monster noises and like have the monsters, like when they roar, you actually hear them roar, and you hear like what kind of a horrific creature is in front of you, and just like the sound that they make is just unsettling and inhuman. And oh my god, I have so many exciting ideas, and I would love that was my favorite part, was designing the villains and having really great villains. And I think not necessarily villains, but opponents. I think especially in part 2, Dex's story, Alden's opponent isn't really a villain. He's just kind of this absolute badass, and he's the coolest dude you've ever seen, and he's huge, and he's buff as fuck, and he just looks like a monster, and he's this trained killer, and it's just so much fun for me. I would love to figure out what those guys sound like and come up with really, really over the top characters that are crazy and really unsettling in a lot of ways. Like, I think definitely book 3 is going to have a lot of that. There's one character in particular that I think of. Actually, there's a couple where I really want them to be these like scary dudes that are like, I think of like when you watched Spider-Man multiverse, whatever. I don't remember what it was called. The one with the one with Tobey Maguire. Spoiler alert. But what am I trying to say? Who's the guy? What is his name? Norman's out. You just got me. What's his name? Green Goblin? Like when the Goblin comes out and he starts like, Norman's out for lunch. I can't do that voice like that. Norman's out for lunch. You only got me. Like really gross and unsettling, and I need to drink a lot of warm tea with honey in it, because it's just going to destroy my voice, and I'm going to have to record it in segments. But luckily, I'm so glad. The way that I wrote my book is really, really conducive to producing it in a audiobook form. Like, I really tried to break it up so that like it feels like the scenes of a movie, where it, like in movies, you have the A plot and the B plot, and it kind of swaps between them, and it keeps the timeline going. So like as you swap between characters, the time is still progressing in the same speed, and you're just kind of showing what's happening between the 2 fights. And it was just so much fun for me to write the story like that, and really split it up like a traditional American action movie, where you have the characters. At some point, the characters split off and they become the A and the B plot, and then at some point they all come back together in this really exciting way. And as a reader, all you're doing is watching for like, okay, when are they going to come back together? When are they going to come back together? And then when they do, it is just this hype moment. It's the coolest shit ever. I cannot get enough of that stuff. And I really wanted to do that justice. And I think the longer I've been writing it, the simpler it is for me to produce that content or produce that style of writing, and the more that I want to expand on it and subvert people's expectations. And when you write a story like that, I think it's easy for it to become formulaic, and I think my goal is to swap the formula. And and you have like the A, B, C, D plots. Oh, I think it might be Malice. Is Malice the one that I should be afraid of? So let's hit this. Yes, it is Malice. I think. Yes, that's definitely Malice. So if you see attached to my body, there's these lines that are coming into my body. That's the bubble. And that means that if I had shot my gun, or if I wasn't invincible, I would have been dead. I would have been absolutely obliterated. So that's what you really got to keep in mind. And I think, like, for me, writing a story where you have so many subplots, it's different when there are fight scenes. Like, when you're writing 4 or 5 fight scenes, or you're writing, like, okay, you have this, like, let's talk about the arc that I'm working on right now, or the one that I kind of just finished. Like, so you have like 2 acts to the fight. The fight comes in 2 parts, where you have the fight between the weaker crew members, and then you have the fight between the strong crew members. And like, the weaker crew members fight ends before the strong crew members. And so it's like, you kind of design the story around, like, okay, so there's an A part to the story and there's a B part to the story, about like, at some point there's this big turning point in the battle where this huge event happens. Someone gets almost killed, or someone does a huge attack and it changes the whole landscape of the fight. And it's like, from that point on, that's the B part of the story. And then you kind of like, you mess around with the formula. You try and come up with different ideas. You try and put them in different situations. And it's like, once you have that kind of structure, then you can kind of mess around with the structure and put some stuff in here and put some stuff in there and see what works and just kind of have fun with it. And it's just, I can't stop. Like, I really just can't stop myself from writing. I couldn't stop at this point. I couldn't stop ever. I'm going to finish this book, and I'm already working on a spin-off series, and then associated with that spin-off series is a whole nother series after the events of this story. Like, after he becomes the king of the gods, after he finds the treasure at the end of the universe, after he retires, then there's a whole nother plot that happens that takes place over the whole galaxy, and it's with whole new characters and different story, and kind of these side characters that were kind of younger in the main story. Now they're fleshed out. Now they're adults, and they're having to fight in a completely different way. And so it's really, I want it to be a departure from what you've known, and really kind of tell these side stories that were, like, I had this idea for telling a story that is told in the year 500 BC. And it's going to be the story of the first Buddha, Shakyamuni, or Siddhartha Gautama, and kind of this story of where the story of 3 comes from. Like, when you talk about One Piece, how there's the monster trio. I really wanted to expand on that idea and create all this lore behind where the monster trio comes from, and this grander story about, like, oh, these 3 guys are a representation of a larger cycle that exists in this world. And like, and as you go into the story, like, there's this big turning point where you realize, like, oh my God, like, there's so much more to this story than meets the eye. And it comes in this cyclical nature, kind of like in Dark Souls. And that's like that has been my most important takeaway from all of my writing, is that I think when you write like a mythology, like you write something with a lot of lore, the lore either has a prophecy. Oh, I was going to use a different weapon. I think the lore either has a prophecy or it has a cycle. Like when you think about Dark Souls is a story about the cycle of fire and darkness, and the cycle of, in the beginning there was nothing, and then fire, life brought disparity, it brought light and dark. And so there's this whole grander idea of inverses, and like the idea of yin yang, that every human is a collection of opposite feelings that are clashing with each other at all times, and really we are a series of coins where we can only see either face, but we don't ever see what the coin is made of. And you have to learn that each side of the same coin is teaching you about that coin and teaching you about yourself. And it's important to think about yourself in this terms of cycles and saying, like,
And the enemy
your
calls
parents
for a
came
song.
before you, your grandparents came before them, and your children will come after you. And so your job as a member of the human race is to continue the cycle, right? Like, you are a human. You were born in the 1000th generation. You were born in the 2000th generation, whatever it is. However many generations of humans date back to the very first humans, you are an unbroken line of cycles. That's an important thing that you realize, is like, your genetics date all the way back to the beginning of humanity, when we were all monkeys, when we were still up in the trees, and we didn't really have community, and we didn't have facial recognition in the same way that we do. And all of that history, millions of years of evolution, is reflected in you and how you act. And thousands of years of human evolution and human culture and societal adaptation is represented in you and your tendencies, because your tendencies come from your parents, and your parents got those tendencies from their community, and you got your tendencies from your community. And that means who you spend time with, who you're around the most, like all of these very fundamental ideas about, like, who are your friends, who is your family, where do you come from. They all are so important to who you are as a person and who your children will be. And it's this grand idea that your goal is to carry on your story to a new generation. And your goal should be connecting your story to others. And that's like this grander story idea that I have, that, like, to me, I think of time travel, you know, like, I think Loki is a really cool story because it shows you a visual representation of the timeline. But I think the downside, the thing that I didn't like about Loki, is that the timeline is flat, right? So, like, when you have the timeline, it's a circle, but the circle is like this. It has no depth. It's not deep this way. It's only one layer thick. I think the true representation of a timeline is a rope. A rope with an infinite number of strands inside of it. You know, like when you have twine and you unravel it into each of its individual strands, and you unravel it more and more and more and more. I think of the timeline as exactly like that twine rope, where think of the rope, the whole rope, 100% of the rope. Think of that as all things that could ever happen ever. Any possible outcome for our universe, no matter how improbable, as long as it is possible, it will exist inside the rope. And the more you pick apart the rope, the more you see how certain decisions and certain random occurrences all lead into each other to create incredibly rare probability chances. And one of those is life. Life, the creation of life as we know it, is one of the most, like, think of life as RNG. It's like the beginning of life was like the rarest RNG ever. It was like a 0.001% chance for everything to line up perfectly. And yet it did. But there is a universe where life was never started on Earth. And that entire timeline is completely separate from how we exist today. Or like, let's say a mass extinction event wiped out the one species that was set to evolve into humanity. You know, like, let's say a mass extinction wiped out the fish that was set to grow legs. What happens to the timeline then? No matter how rare it is for that mass extinction event to happen, it could happen for all we know. And if it did happen, you wouldn't exist. I wouldn't exist. Our world as we know it wouldn't exist. But if you could access that timeline, what would you learn? Like, if you could view things like that, you would be a god. Like, you'd be so powerful to be able to see every possible outcome ever. That's what time travel is. And that's why I think time travel is really inaccurate. Because if you could exit time, then you could re-enter in any feasible universe. Any possible reality could be a reality that you enter. But so you need some kind of computer that can read realities, that can follow the strands of time, that can follow each of the individual strings as they connect to each other, because you're looking for the correct timeline. And if you, like, realistically, you can never time travel, because if you killed, let's say you go back and kill your grandfather, well, you've just moved yourself into the timeline where your grandfather doesn't exist. But you come from another timeline. You come from the timeline where your grandfather does exist. The difference is the time travel. It's the time travel that always breaks the laws of physics, because realistically, no living thing should be able to travel anywhere through time. Living things are a stationary object on the timeline. They exist, they are born, they die. That's it. They have memories. Their memories follow their timeline accurately. You're not meant to see other timelines. You're not meant to change things that already have happened. That's not how time works. So realistically, you're not actually changing anything. You're just now living in the timeline where your grandfather doesn't exist. But the problem is, if your grandfather doesn't exist, what else is different? Maybe your grandfather was influential in other ways. Wouldn't that be crazy to find out? You kill your grandfather, and then all of a sudden, like, what you've done when you time traveled is you created a new reality where you killed your grandfather, where you, from a different timeline, hopped outside of the time rope, outside above it, and then hopped back into the time rope, changed an event, and created a new split timeline from that timeline. And so now you are trapped in your own timeline that you created for yourself. But if you say that you can exit the rope and enter the rope at will, then you are far beyond needing to kill your grandfather, because you can traverse any reality ever imaginable, realistically. So, like, why do you need to kill your grandfather? You are now a god. Like, if you can time travel, you're essentially God, because you just go to whatever timeline you want. Anyway, this is getting really heady. I'm enjoying myself. Also, I'll tell you that I'm enjoying talking. It's been a long time since I've actually just sat down and talked shit out. Just really had a good discussion with myself. But anyway, enough of that, folks. I'd like to say thank you, Kev. I'd like to say thank you to everybody who watched my Understanding Sekiro video, and expect more in the future. I've got some big plans now that I see. All I needed to see was that something stuck. So now I have plans. And so keep your hopes up. If you feel like supporting me, drop a like, subscribe. If you're on Twitch, you could follow. Eventually, I might have a subscription. Who knows? Comment about something you liked. Add to the discussion. Help with engagement. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed. If you stayed till the end, once again, you're a trooper. You're a hero. I'll say thank you one more time. Take care, and bye-bye.